Hey guys, this is Devin Schirm. I'm a results-based lifestyle performance consultant, dedicated the last decade of my life towards self-improvement. I'm here to help you become the best version of yourself. Today's topic is how to help clear your mind.
Be self-taught and reinvent your life because you must. It is your life, and its history and the present belong only to you.
I recently read a book called Getting Things Done by author David Allen. And in this book, he describes something called an open loop. And essentially what this is it's a recurring distraction in your life that keeps your brain power preoccupied, and it makes it harder for you to progress on new or creative tasks that require additional thinking. An open loop is anything that remains undone in your mind. It could be a promise that you made. It could be a chore that you've been neglecting to do. It could be a phone call you have to make, or it could be just any checkbox item on your to-do list. Really anything that remains undone but is cluttering your mind. Goes without saying, but having a bunch of open loops isn't particularly advantageous to being a productive, efficient person. The more open stuff you have on your mind, the less efficient you're going to have as far as brain processing power to devote towards those other tasks you know you want to be doing or that you need to be doing. Think of your brain like a computer. And just like your computer, you've got RAM. RAM stands for random access memory. Essentially, this is how many different applications can a computer, or likewise your brain, be working on simultaneously. Now, the way you can think of it is each open loop is like another program or application that you have open at all times. So you open your Chrome and you've got like 15 different tabs open. I do that all the time. But you've got that. You've got a Word document open. You've got some music playing in the background. There's this other program application. All of a sudden, you've got 30 different things open. Every single one's taking a little bit of that processing power and slowing down the whole rest of the computer as a whole. That's very similar to your brain with open loops. The more different singular open loops that you have open and unresolved, each one's taking a little bit of that RAM, that random access memory from your own brain, and it's slowing down whatever singular task that you're working on at any given moment. This is really not optimal. The more open loops you have, the less creative and productive you are, the less efficient you are. It's just not a good situation to be in. Optimally, you would close as many of these open loops as possible so you have that additional brain processing power to devote to what you want to be working on. Closing loops is a multi-step but very simple process. Step one is to get all of that stuff out of your head. Very simple. Get it all written down on a notepad, type it into a Word document or somewhere on your computer, put it into Evernote, whatever it is, whatever program or application you want to use, it doesn't matter. As long as you translate it from just this abstract idea in your mind to a physically composed written thing. It's been stored somewhere that you can check on later. That is by far the biggest first step that you can do. Getting it all written down relieves your brain of the stress of trying to remember every small little detail. And because it's written down, you know it's safe and secure. Your brain feels at peace because I know I can go and check this thing out later if that's what I need to be working on. Step two, look at the list of everything you've written down and determine what do you really need to be keeping and what can probably go. Most people have accumulated a list of, let's say we've written this extensive list. It's you've got all the promises you've made, you've got all these chores you have to do, I've always wanted to do such and such, I've always wanted to travel here, and it's just a massive list, probably, because you've been accumulating all of these things over years, maybe even decades. Now you're looking at this list, and you've got 150 items on there, and out of those 150, it's like, well, there's probably a good 50 or 80 of these that I don't actually need. They're really not that important. This is something that was important to me 4 years ago, but that's no longer relevant. It's not who I am, and this isn't that important that I hold on to it. And go about actually physically crossing those things off. It's on a Word document, maybe draw a red line through it if it's in Evernote or something. I mean, I guess you can delete the note, but there's something very therapeutic about actually just crossing the thing off. The process of doing that, of crossing those items off, will further relieve your brain. That's almost like the final terminal thing of this is no longer something I need to think about. You'd already reduced some of the stress by moving it from your mind to a piece of paper or your application, but then the act of crossing off and destroying it from that application means it's completely finalized. This is a non-issue. Your brain does not have to remember this at all anymore, and that's very, very relief-inducing. Step three, of the remaining items on your list, you went from 150 to, let's say, half. You went down to 75. Now you break those 75 remaining items into two separate lists: need to do and would like to do. Need to do it's exactly what it sounds like. These are tasks that absolutely must be completed. Maybe it's for your business, maybe it's for running your life, like I need to pay my taxes, I need to pay my rent, whatever that is. I mean, those are items that obviously go on the need list. Like list are things that you would like to do these things. You'd like to do them at some point in the future, ideally probably the near future rather than the far future, but you also intelligently recognize that virtually everything on the need list is a higher priority than virtually everything on the like to do list. So this could be, I want to take a vacation to Bali. I want to read this autobiography book. I want to go skiing, like whatever it is. It could be anything like that. And while that would be fulfilling, it's something you've always wanted to do, it would be really great to get that checked off the list. Let's be real, paying your rent or your taxes or making sure you get to the gym a couple times this week, those are all significantly more important to living that cohesive life, so they take priority. The final fourth step here is once you've gotten all of these items into their corresponding need or like to-do lists, we break each of those things down into smaller subtasks. The reason why a lot of people have these lingering to-do list items is because it's a very it's an abstract, like this almost insurmountable thing. You don't know where to start on this given task. It could be, I mean, a lot of times people are going to write something on the list of like, start my business. Like, what the hell kind of thing to write down is that? That's like the most esoteric, large scale, like there is no clarity to that. There's no timetable. There's no specification, description, nothing. But it's like, I've got this on my to-do list of start my business next to clean the dishes. And they're both given the same amount of weight on your list. It's like, no wonder like one of these things, the business, is going to hang around on your list for years and years and years, always just driving you crazy. It's pretty unreasonable to think like that's something that can just be casually thrown on and then, oh yeah, I'm just going to, in 30 minutes, just knock out this business that I want to start. Obviously, that's a larger scale example to be using, but it could be something as simple as, let's say it's a chore you need to get done for the week. You need to clean the house. A lot of times if you put that on the list, it's like clean the house. This seems like this really big thing. I don't know exactly where to start. I think this is just going to be super time consuming. And then it's just worse and worse because it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And it just hangs around on your mind. And sure enough, a week goes by and you don't do anything towards it because it's just this large, impossible thing. So what you can do quite simply is, okay, I've got this clean the house. This is something I need to do. It's on my need list. I break this down by, okay, I need to do the dishes in the kitchen and then sweep and mop the floor. And then wipe the counters. Those are the three primary components. Okay, that's not too bad. And then for the living room, I've got to wipe down the tables, maybe oil the furniture if need be, and I've got to vacuum the carpets. Okay, that's pretty simple. And then for the bathroom, and then for your bedroom, and then you just break it down like that, and all of a sudden it's like you kind of look at each room and, okay, this room's only going to take 20 minutes to do. This one's a little bigger of a job. It still might only take 30 minutes to do those three different tasks. And all of a sudden it's like clean the house, which in your mind is just this massive undertaking, which all of a sudden you'd think would be like, oh man, this is going to be a 6-hour process. I don't know where to start. I don't have a list of everything I need to be working on. That's been broken down to all of a sudden this is short, this is quick, it's a lot faster than I thought it would be, this isn't that hard, and you've kind of broken through those mind blocks. As part of this final step, besides getting everything on the need list and the like to-do list, breaking it down into subcomponents, then what you do is you take those subcomponents and you apply them to your schedule as it works for you. If you take a look at your list and instead of seeing that whole insurmountable clean the house on there, it's like, well, maybe I don't need to do the whole thing at one time. I can get 2 or 3 rooms done in this time. I can get the kitchen done, I can get the living room done, and you do that in an hour, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, cool, I got some stuff done, and I still have a bunch of free time remaining, and that really wasn't that bad. So you fit it into your schedule as is applicable to you at that point. The whole idea behind just closing these open loops is breaking everything down into smaller chunks and removing the superfluous, non-necessary things. Too many people have way too many things on their to-do lists and cluttering up their minds. I am a massive offender of this. Until very recently, I used to keep just a really long to-do list of all these items I wanted to do. And there was a professional one and a personal one. And it was just filled with tons of just bullshit I didn't need to be doing. It was a waste of time. It was cluttering my mind. And it was detracting from the big hard-hitting stuff you actually need to do. After discovering this closing the open loop process, I have to say it has massively benefited my own personal life and anyone I've helped share this topic with. So please give this one a try when you have the opportunity. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe down below. If there is any other topics you want me to discuss, I am open to suggestions going forward. And until next time, thank you.